Hey, howdy, hey, what is going on, y'all? It is Toad once again with another video. Now, in today's video, we are going to be building a paludarium or bioactive setup, a vivarium, something along those lines. I'm not too sure yet. I'm still kind of getting ideas, but you kind of get the gist. Now, as y'all can see, it is an absolute mess on my floor. There's like all sorts of stuff, wires, as you can see, the cage, all sorts of things all across my floor. Reason why is I'm kind of getting an idea of how I want to set up this enclosure. Now, this enclosure here was previously a fish tank that I had a betta fish in, but obviously now it is not a fish tank anymore. And I think it would be nice to kind of build it as an open top paludarium or vivarium or something along those lines. Now, being that it's going to be open top, I obviously cannot really put anything inside that'll be able to get out. It'll mainly be more for looks and maybe fish. I'm not too sure yet, but it'll mainly be more for looks. Now, obviously, the most recent setup that I have done is this little jar setup right here. As you can see, our isopods are thriving. We've also got springtails doing super well in this enclosure, but that is our most recent bioactive setup that we have done. And a lot of y'all have been wanting me to do more bioactive setups with different enclosures, big and small. Now, the only problem is my reptile room is at maximum capacity, so there's only so many bioactive setups I can do. Over time, I'm going to work on getting every enclosure in my reptile room on a bioactive setup. So, for example, Houdini, my ball python, and Fuego, my corn snake, they're not on bioactive setups, but when I do switch them over to bioactive setups and build them a bioactive cage, I will, of course, film it. But enough blah, blah, blah. Y'all get the gist. Let's just continue on with the video. So, first thing we're going to be doing with this enclosure, as you can see, there's a lot of spots on it and whatnot, so I really got to clean it off. I got to get a lot of those water spots off, so I'm literally just going to spray my cleaning spray, wipe it all down inside and outside, and hopefully make it look brand new. As you can see, we have wiped down a lot of that water spots and whatnot's gone. You can still see some of it, but that's going to happen regardless just because it was once a fish tank. But it looks a whole lot better. Now it's time to start planning out how we're going to set it up. As y'all can see, I got this bag of cork and spider wood and whatnot. I got some plants, some moss. You guys kind of know the drill. And I'm basically just going to set this up how I think looks good, and then I guess we'll just kind of go from there. But honestly, I don't even know how I'm going to set this up. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of throwing it together. I hope it looks good at the end. We're going to do our best, and yeah, let's continue on. Well, as y'all can see through the reflection, this is the progress we are making. So we got a piece of spiderwood kind of branching out there. Then we've got our pump. So right there, that little tube right there, I don't know if y'all can see that right there, that's going to shoot the water out, kind of flow over and around these rocks, and then back into the water down here. Now, of course, the pump will be concealed by either more rocks or gravel and whatnot. That's kind of how we have it set up. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to start foaming. We're going to get the whole background foamed. Now, we're going to use a very little bit amount just because this is a small cage, and we don't want to get foam on our pump. And once we get it all foamed up, we'll kind of work from there. I also forgot to mention I have some of these smaller rocks, so once I get the foam in, then I can stick these in and out of the enclosure just for a little bit of extra decor. So without further ado, let's open up our can of foam and start foaming the enclosure. Well, as y'all can see, our foam and dirt is now inside of the enclosure. I started making one fatal mistake that I really hope doesn't ruin this enclosure. And the mistake that I made was I started foaming over the tube of the pump. Now, obviously, if that foam expands and closes up the tube, then there will be no waterfall. And obviously, I wanted this enclosure to be a partial waterfall or something like that, so that'll completely ruin this enclosure. No matter what, it'll still have a background and it'll still look nice, and I can still plant it and make it a cool setup, but it'll be lacking in a water feature. So y'all, only time will tell. Now, in about an hour or two, if it's dry enough, I'll flip it upright and do a water test and see if I can run the water through. If not, we may have just ruined the water feature part, but we will make do with this enclosure one way or another. So yeah, pray for me, and I'll catch up with you guys in about an hour or two.
3 hours later.
Alright, y'all, so our foam has dried, as you can see. It's firm to the touch. Now it's time for the water test. Now, worst things worst, the foam could have covered up the tube. If that's the case, we will work around that. We won't let this ruin this enclosure. Without further ado, let's plug it in, see what happens. Hopefully this is not a complete disaster. The pump is going. And look at that, y'all. That was actually perfect. Okay, I was a whole lot more scared than I needed to be. The water is flowing absolutely perfectly. That looks really good. That'll be exactly perfect. Well, as you can see, the water is flowing absolutely perfectly right off the rocks into the water. Now imagine once we get rocks in here, we get plants, this will look so much better. So now I'm going to dump out all this old water, let it dry for a little bit longer, and then we will continue setting it up. Now the light is installed on the enclosure. That looks super good. Just imagine, guys, just imagine once we get plants in there, once we get gravel in the bottom, and once the water is flowing. Well, y'all, we are now outside, and you may be wondering, Christian, why are you outside? Well, I'm going to be rinsing off the pea gravel, so I keep all my gravel and whatnot outside, obviously not in my reptile room. But we're going to get our pea gravel, put it in the bucket that I just set down, and then we're going to rinse it off and get it ready to go in its new home, I guess. Yeah. So we've got our bag of pea gravel there. Let's pour it in this bucket and get it rinsed off. Well, y'all, as you can see, the gravel is in this bucket, but now it's time to get the gravel into the tank. Whoa! And there y'all have it, the gravel is now in. So as you can see, we're making progress. Now what we're gonna do is take some of these rocks here and literally just put them in the enclosure where we think looks nice. Now our larger rocks are in the bottom. Now it is starting to look super duper good. I'm actually pretty proud of how this turned out. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this cage and put it in its final resting place. Now that we've gotten the enclosure in its position, now it's time to kind of plant it up a little bit and then of course add the water. Well, y'all, look at that. Our plants are in. Now it is time for the water. We've got our bucket of dechlorinated water and we're literally just gonna pour it inside of the enclosure. Well, holy smokes, y'all, this is how it's looking without the pump running. Now it's time to get the pump turned on and see how it looks. Well, there you have it. Look at that, y'all. The water is literally flowing perfectly right into the little stream riverbed sort of setup that we got here. Now this looks absolutely sick. And keep in mind, this is my hand compared to the enclosure, so it is not a big enclosure. It's maybe a 4 or 5 gallon all the way filled up fish tank. Now here we've got maybe a gallon and a half or 2. Now as it cycles out, it'll look a whole lot better. And let me know down in the comments, what animal should I get for this enclosure? I was thinking maybe shrimp or something, but if y'all have any better suggestions, just drop it down in the comments. Well, there y'all have it. That was building basically a micro desktop paludarium. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just subscribe. You know the drill. Subscribe, like, comment, follow my Instagram, my TikTok. All that's linked in the description. And of course, you can press the like button right on your screen. I mean, that's kind of obvious. But yeah, y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. I will see you all in the next one. Peace! Oh, and don't forget to cop the merch. I mean, link in the description. It's the best merch on the game. Just go buy the merch, please. Come on, go buy it. You should. Okay, bye.